There's a private prison in Kentucky that's responsible for one of the most inhumane cases of negligence I've ever seen. The facts of this story will make your skin crawl. A 27-year-old inmate in Hutchinson, Kansas, died of a fungal infection after months of pleading in vain with prison guards and medical personnel for help, says a lawsuit filed by the inmate's mother and daughter. It feels like something is eating my brain, said Marcus Davis to infirmary personnel at the Hutchinson Correctional Facility in December of 2016, according to the Kansas City Star. For months, Davis told health workers he'd been feeling numbness and weakness in his legs. Then his vision began to blur. His speech slurred and thickened, and he became so disoriented that he drank his own urine. When he told Corazon health workers, the private firm that runs the prison infirmary, that something was eating his brain, Davis wasn't wrong. Over the next 4 months, his health deteriorated as the Candida albicans fungus ran rampant in his brain, causing a form of meningitis called granulomatous meningoencephalitis. After Davis died of a heart attack on April 12, 2017, an autopsy found dramatic swelling of the brain sufficient to the upper part of the brain down to the lower part of the brain. Wow. So he died as a fungus slowly ate his brain and destroyed his body. He was pleading for help. He didn't get it. Listen, man, this is one of the things that very rarely do people speak up about issues like this because it involves a prison population. And when you talk about a prison population, there's this thing that happens where people just kind of shut their mind off and say, well, they're in there, so, it's almost like they deserve it. Whatever negative things come their way, it is what it is because, hey, you committed a crime, so therefore, when you go behind bars, it is what it is. I'm not going to care about the plight of somebody who's suffering behind bars. That's a thought process that happens with a lot of people. But the reality of the situation is, listen, at the end of the day, this is still a human being, and this is a human being who was tortured over months while a fungus ate his brain. Any decent human being would look at this and go, yeah, that shouldn't happen. So just because they're behind bars doesn't mean they're property. Doesn't mean they're less than people and you get to dismiss whatever they say. No, if they say there's a medical issue, for fuck's sake, take him to the hospital. Get everything figured out. I mean, I can't imagine the pain and suffering this guy went through. Could you imagine a fungus slowly eating your brain? You get so disoriented, you start to drink your pee. You say, oh my God, my legs, or I can't feel my legs, or whatever. Over all this time, slowly deteriorating, and nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Nobody's listening to him. And then the other angle to this story, of course, is it happened at a private prison. Shocker. Corazon, the private prison, handles about 15% of the U.S. inmate population. 15%. They have 534 correctional facilities in 27 states. And they were sued for malpractice 660 times in a 5-year period. This is a criminal organization that's running private prisons. They're getting tax money, so it's funny we call it a private prison. They're getting tax money, and they treat people like this. And private prisons, man. You got to get rid of these private prisons. Now, I'm not saying this definitely wouldn't happen at a public prison. I don't know. But I do know they have a long track record of being the worst of the worst. Treating people horrendously, being negligent. So, no. Somebody's brain was fucking eaten by a fungus in a U.S. prison as they said repeatedly they wanted help and they didn't get it. Doesn't get any worse than that.